Hi, good morning. Thank you for tuning in to Local News Live this morning. We're on AOC Community Media, Channel 1, Cox 15, LUS 3. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel and on Cypress Street Radio, which is aocinc.org/CS radio. We do this every weekday at 9 a.m., reading articles from the Acadian Advocate, local and state news, led by a group of wonderful volunteers. I'm Mandy Ayo, and we have Bruce Cohen here with us also to read the stories this morning. Good morning, Bruce.
Well, guten Tagen to you, Miss Mandy. You probably caught a little bit of my throat clearing there as we launched into the newscast.
You got to be ready. It's a lot of reading ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready and poised and ready to go, and always at the helm of the technical aspect of this broadcast is my favorite Mandy. So thank you, and we really appreciate it, and to get the news out there every morning. So good morning, Acadiana. Today is Friday, October 16th, 2020. We'll start off with a 4-shot at Moore Park, 2 dead, 2 wounded in gunfire during party attended by 300 by Katie Gagliano. 4 people were shot, 2 fatally during a late-night party in the Moore Park soccer complex in Lafayette, according to Lafayette police. Jackery Clark, 19, and Nathaniel Sharpley, 18, both of Lafayette, died from the injuries at a local hospital. An 18-year-old Opelousas man was injured, is in stable condition at a local hospital, while a 20-year-old Lafayette woman was injured as well, but was treated and released, Lafayette Police spokesperson Sergeant Wayne Griffin said. Griffin said about 300 people attended the party following the University of Louisiana at Lafayette football game after word about the party spread via social media. At some point during the party, there was an argument, and shortly thereafter, shots rang out. Officers were dispatched about 1 a.m. after getting calls about the gunfire. The shooting happened on the northern side of Moore Park in a parking lot accessed by West Pointe Mouton Road. Investigators are still trying to determine how many shots were fired and whether there was more than one shooter. Detectives and a canine officer conducted a morning sweep of the parking lot and surrounding park area, searching for new evidence, marking off several bullet casings with small traffic cones in the parking lot. There were at least a dozen cones marking evidence areas Thursday morning. Some detectives dredged nearby creek with magnets in search of disposed weapons after learning some party attendees fled toward the interior of the park after the shooting, while others walked the wooded perimeter of adjacent soccer fields. The parking lot where the shooting happened was littered with empty daiquiri go-cups, shattered glass liquor bottles, shoes left behind as bystanders fled the area and discarded face masks. One parking space was stained with blood and strewn with empty gauze rolls, medical gloves, and packaging from emergency gunshot wound adhesive bandages. Griffin said there are no suspects and urged the public to contact police with any videos of the party that may be on social media or other evidence. Witnesses can submit photos and videos to Lafayettepd.evidence.com/axon/citizen/public/Moore Park, and are asked to include their name, date of birth, and phone number on the secure page. A Facebook video posted at midnight by a man who said he was at the party showed a large crowd and a DJ booth set up in a park pavilion beside the concession stands. In a video posted roughly 2 hours later, the man described hearing many gunshots and told officers he thought he heard both a handgun and an automatic weapon. Police were not able to confirm the weapons used in the shootings as of Thursday morning. The video shows first responders performing CPR on a man lying on the ground as a number of people stood in small groups nearby giving information to the officers, crying and holding one another. Minutes later, an ambulance is shown taking the victim to the hospital. Lafayette Police Department is currently responsible for policing all of Lafayette's park, Griffin said. Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory's 2021 budget cut about $325,000 in personal salaries for the park police chief, along with all 5 officers. It was part of a larger cut that eliminated 37 positions in Parks and Rec and aimed to close 4 recreation centers. The Police Association of Lafayette criticized the cuts to park security, as well as others in Guillory's budget in a July statement. The park police chief, Oscar Benoit, retired in August.
Thanks, Bruce. Suspended Lafayette City Marshal resentenced to 1 year. Lawyer argues he served the time on home arrest. This is an article by Claire Taylor. Suspended Lafayette City Marshal was escorted in handcuffs and leg chains from the parish courthouse to the parish jail Thursday afternoon after a judge resentenced him on a 2018 conviction for 3 felony counts of malfeasance in office. Unresolved is whether Pope has to spend a year in the parish jail or if he'll receive credit for a year served on home incarceration. Pope's sentence also includes 240 hours of community service, $1,500 in fines, court costs, $11,700 in restitution, and 3 years of supervised probation. Pope's attorney, Brett Grayson, while waiting for Pope's release from jail late Thursday afternoon, told the Acadiana Advocate he tended to think Pope will have to spend time in jail based on the actions of deputies with the Lafayette Parish Correctional Center. The state Supreme Court recently refused to hear Pope's case. The Third Circuit Court of Appeal, however, vacated the sentence Judge David Smith previously imposed on Pope, calling on Smith to clarify the sentence. On Thursday, Smith resentenced Pope to 3 years in jail on each of the 3 felony convictions, suspending all but 1 year on each count and allowing the time to be served concurrently, boiling Pope's sentence down to a single year in the parish jail. In court Thursday, Grayson supplied a document from the sheriff's office supposedly showing Pope serving time on home incarceration, but it is unclear whether those conditions meet the sentencing obligations imposed by Smith. Assistant District Attorney Alan Haney argued that Pope was out of bond while appealing his conviction. A condition of the bond set by Smith, he said, was use of GPS monitoring and a curfew, not home incarceration. That wasn't part of his sentence, Haney said. He added that the document from the jail indicates Pope entered the jail June 28th and left an hour later under a Louisiana home detention program. Grayson said the sheriff's office has programs such as home detention for first-time nonviolent offenders. Smith deferred to Sheriff Mark Garber, who administers the home incarceration program, to determine whether Pope had met the requirements. If not, Smith said, he will delay execution of the sentence until November 4th so Pope can get his affairs in order before reporting to parish jail for up to a year. Shortly after Pope was escorted to jail for booking, Grayson said the sheriff's office refused to release Pope per Smith's orders. Grayson returned to the courthouse where he said Smith signed a document and faxed it to the jail instructing deputies to release Pope. Grayson said it did not appear the sheriff's office would allow the home incarceration to serve as Pope's 1-year sentence, but he had not received any official opinion Thursday afternoon. Pope was suspended without pay in October 2018 upon his conviction. Assistant District Attorney Daniel Landry said after Thursday's hearing that the matter of Pope's position as city marshal remains unresolved. Pope can voluntarily resign, he said. If he doesn't do so in about a week, Landry said the district attorney's office will file a motion to remove him from office. His felony conviction is final, Landry said. He is not eligible to serve. A jury found Pope guilty in October 2018 on 4 felony counts stemming in part from a videotaped deposition in which Lafayette attorney Gary McGoffin grilled Pope as part of a lawsuit filed over his refusal to hand over public records to the independent newspaper. 3 of the convictions were for malfeasance involving the use of public funds to pay attorneys for personal and prohibited reasons, such as trying to get the divorce file of a candidate for sheriff unsealed, and 1 for perjury during the deposition. Smith, in June 2019, dismissed the perjury conviction, but let stand the 3 malfeasance convictions. He sentenced Pope to a year in the Lafayette Parish Jail for each of the 3 counts, suspending all but 1 year. He also sentenced Pope to 240 hours of community service and ordered him to pay $11,700 in restitution. Pope was suspended without pay in October 2018 when he was convicted and while his appeals were pending. The state Supreme Court last week refused to hear his case after an appeals court upheld the October 2018 conviction. Pope still faces 19 felony charges of malfeasance in office. 17 of them are related to allegations that he accepted about $85,000 in fines and court fees in 2018 to supplement his salary, despite a Louisiana Attorney General's office opinion advising the money should be deposited in the city marshal's office account. 2 others are related to reimbursements in 2018 for travel on official business that he is accused of depositing in his personal account instead of in the city marshal's office account.
Okay, and here's a story to brighten your morning. Lafayette teachers to get bonus check. Board okays $1,854 in payments with eye toward possible pay raise next year by Katie Gagliano. Lafayette Parish School Board approved the annual 14th check, in quote marks, for teachers a Wednesday night, opting to give each qualifying employee a roughly $1,850 bonus check after bouncing the idea of a permanent pay raise to next year. The addition of $1,854.05 comes from excess collections in the district's 2020 sales tax fund. From 2006 through 2019, the bonus payouts have ranged from a low of $380.95 per teacher in 2010 to a high of $2,281.54 per teacher in 2013, according to school board documents. The disbursement was approved in a 5-3 board vote, with board members Justin Satani, Timmy Chason, and Hannah Smith-Mason voting against the payout because of a desire to see a portion of the funds rerouted toward a permanent raise for qualifying teachers. Satani has long been a proponent of using at least a portion of the extra funds for a permanent pay increase. It's a philosophy battle that's been battled back and forth, especially in the past 2 years, as the board weighs honoring teachers' expressed wish for a single bonus check with building a better financial base for their long-term security. I'm so glad the sales tax has this money in it to distribute to our teachers because nobody deserves it more, but I philosophically believe it should be a permanent salary increase, Satani said. Based on the pandemic and the possible, and I think likely downward trend in sales tax collections, that could materially reduce or eliminate that large excess distribution, I think it's best to put it in there permanently, Chason said. Board President Britt Blatchelake commented after the vote he intends to support using a portion of the sales tax funds to support a salary increase next year. Julia Reed, president of the Lafayette Parish Association of Educators, says she personally supports implementing a salary raise instead of a single lump sum check, and her organization has worked to educate its roughly 1,000 person membership on the benefits. Salary money, once dedicated, is guaranteed and can't be taken away, while the one-time bonus could dry up if sales tax collections take a dive, she said. Reed said LPAE's membership has begun shifting its position with an April survey showing roughly 98% of the approximately 450 members polled supported a raise, but that support dropped off in the past week following Hurricane Delta. A new survey of around 100 teachers this week showed only 30% supported the raise, while most wanted the immediate bonus check, she said. The association president said members were concerned about immediate needs like paying homeowners insurance deductibles after suffering storm damage and avoiding the cost of replacing their entire refrigerator and freezer contents after food spoiled during power outages. 2020 has been a very rough year for a lot of them, Reed said. I think hopefully next year, knock on wood, if anything is a little more stable, then they'll be more amenable to the raise. Raises always save money. It can't be taken away because of an economic downturn, she said. projections for a sustained economic downturn associated with the novel coronavirus pandemic and the possibility of a reduced bonus check next year may drive the importance of securing money home to teachers in an unfortunately tangible way, Reed said. The LPAE president said when the 2002 sales tax was originally passed, it was sold to voters as a mechanism for increasing teachers' salaries. Salary increases covered by the fund were instituted in 2010 and 2015, according to district records. In 2019, the district's Blue Ribbon Committee recommended the school board institute a salary increase in 2020 and every 5 years afterwards, using some of the excess sales tax revenues with the rest left over for the 14th check. Going into Wednesday's meeting, a $500 salary increase had been the committee's recommendation. Billy Guidry, Assistant Superintendent for Business Services, said at the Blue Ribbon Committee's September 28th meeting that if $1.2 million was pulled from the reserve funds associated with the 2010-2015 salary increases, teachers could get the $500 raise and a $954.40 bonus check. Guidry said that without the one-time bump from reserve funds, the 14th check, in quote marks, amount would have likely dropped into the $500 range next year because of COVID-19's impact on collections, but could have recovered as sales taxes improved. And Mandy, I think we're at a point where we can throw in a couple PSAs. What do you say?
All right, that sounds good to me. First off, this morning, early voting does begin today. Today's Friday, October the 16th. And there's designated on-street early voter parking if you're going to be in downtown Lafayette. It's going to be available at no cost for early voters, which is going on from today through October 27th. Parking meters will be clearly marked with early voter parking only signage in the following areas. West Convent Street between Buchanan and Lafayette Street, that's across from First Baptist School, and also Lafayette Street between Convent Street and Berry Street across from First Baptist School and in front of the Alexander Mouton House. These designated parking spots are intended for short-term parking for early voters only who are casting ballots at the Registrar of Voters office at 1010 Lafayette Street. Early voting, of course, runs from today, October 16th, through Tuesday, October 27th, with the exception of Sundays, October 18th and October 25th, and each day it will run from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, very good. Go vote.
Yes, definitely.
STEAUX, vote.
Yes, if you don't have that app, by the way, do get that. It shows you like what's all in the ballot for your area. And it's very interesting. You can even, read up on the little amendments and things. It has some information. It helps you kind of be ready to go vote before you actually GAUX vote,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple articles in today's broadcast that we'll talk more about the early voting and the voting aspect that's going on. But folks, all I can say is, and I'm trying not to editorialize here, but I'm just saying that this is one of our rights, one of our, being an American, this is one of our most important rights. I would
even say responsibility, I think it's
responsibility
important for us to make our voices heard because that's what runs our country,
And it's always important, no matter what the election is or what we're voting on, to always go and vote and issue your vote. Like Mandy said, it's a very strong responsibility that we have and a very valuable one as well. So getting off the subject for a second, request for mosquito control now available through Lafayette 311 Mosquito Prevention and Safety. Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, is increasing mosquito abatement efforts in the parish following Hurricane Laura and Delta. An increase in mosquito activity is a common occurrence following a storm event. Citizens noticing an influx of mosquitoes in the area can now use the Lafayette 311 portal to request service. All submitted requests are routed directly to Mosquito Control Services, the mosquito control contractor for the parish. Okay, what do you say we jump back into the news?
All right. I'll take this next story, Bruce, if you don't mind. If
Not at all.
there are volunteers needed for a Saturday event, church groups to put tarps on roofs. This is a staff report. Catholic Charities of Acadiana and Asbury Methodist Church will collaborate Saturday to apply tarps to roofs damaged by Hurricane Delta. Volunteers should confirm they'll participate, well, by 10 a.m. this morning. So if you're interested, listen up. Ben Broussard, spokesperson for Catholic Charities, said that volunteers should RSVP to disaster@catholiccharities.acadiana.org. There are over 600 homes that have requested assistance, mostly in the Lafayette area, said Jody Ware, director of Rebuilding Together Acadiana and Catholic Charities of Acadiana Disaster Response. We want to get as many tarps of roofs as possible in order to protect homes from further damage, and we are prioritizing individuals who are most in need and want to invite the community to help us in this day of service. Volunteers will meet in the Asbury parking lot at 101 Live Oak Boulevard in Lafayette between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. to receive materials and instructions, and each team will receive a list of households who have requested help. Volunteers are asked to bring ladders, drills, and hammers. The idea of getting into the community, especially knowing we have rain coming next week, it's imperative that we respond, Broussard said. Whether you're part of a group or an individual that is responding to someone essentially in need, it will create community. We help our neighbors in South Louisiana. Broussard said that the homes have been assessed for damage and those in most imminent need will be addressed first. Let me grab that email for you one more time. If you want to volunteer, RSVP to disaster@catholiccharities.acadiana.org.
All right, hearings delayed for church arsonists. Holden Matthews to go before judges on October 30th by Katie Gagliano. Sentencing hearings planned Friday for confessed church arsonist Holden Matthews has been moved to October 30th. It is the third time the federal and state sentencing hearings have been rescheduled. Originally set for May 22nd, the hearings were moved to July 30th and then October 16th. The current hearings are scheduled before federal Judge Robert R. Summerhays at 10 a.m. and 27th Judicial District Court Judge James Doherty at 2:30 p.m. on October 30th. The move was made at the request of federal prosecutors. Matthews pleaded guilty in February to 3 counts of intentional damage to religious property, a hate crime under the 1996 Church Arson Prevention Act, and 1 count of using fire to commit a felony. In exchange for his plea, federal prosecutors dropped 2 additional charges. On the same day, Matthews pleaded guilty to 3 state hate crime charges, 2 counts of simple arson of a religious building, and a count of aggravated arson of a religious building in state court. Prosecutors said they intend for his federal and state sentences to run concurrently. Matthews destroyed 3 historically Black churches, St. Mary Baptist Church in Point Barry, Greater Union Baptist Church in Opelousas, and Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in Opelousas during a 10-day arson spree. Investigators did not find a racial motive behind his crimes. Instead, Matthews said in messages he targeted the Baptist churches instead of Catholic churches because they had more wood and would burn more easily. Matthews was captured after local, state, and federal law enforcement found physical evidence, including a charred gas can, video surveillance of Matthews purchasing the tools used to set the fires, images that Matthews took at the scenes, and doctored images where Matthews depicted himself at the scene and claimed responsibility for the fires. In his federal plea agreement, the 22-year-old said he had committed the crimes to raise his profile as a black metal musician and emulate bass player Varg Vikernes of the band Mayhem and other Norwegian black metal artists accused of a string of church fires in the 1990s. The police said Matthew posted about the fires on forums for black metal enthusiasts, including Facebook, and was emboldened by the positive reaction he received.
2 suspects arrested in a drive-by shooting. 2 suspects are wanted in an Abbeville drive-by shooting were arrested following a police pursuit through several parishes, according to a statement from the Abbeville Police Department. Jerry Lewis Manuel III, 19, of Port Sulphur, was booked on counts of attempted first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and illegal use of weapons in a firearm-free zone. Jakia Irene Horn, 23, of New Orleans, was arrested on counts of accessory after the fact to attempted first-degree murder. Police said officers responded to a call in the 700 block of Graceland Avenue about 9 p.m. Wednesday. Officers were advised by the caller that they heard 15 to 20 shots in the area. Police also learned that a man was at an area hospital being treated for a gunshot wound. Police determined the shots came from multiple people in a vehicle which had fled the city. The vehicle was located on Interstate 10 around the Atchafalaya Basin Bridge, and Louisiana State Police Troop A attempted to stop it. The driver of the vehicle allegedly refused to stop and led officers on a pursuit through West Baton Rouge Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish, Livingston Parish, and Tangipahoa Parish. The driver lost control of the vehicle and crashed through a fence on Interstate 12, stopping on a service road. 2 people were arrested and are being held at the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office on counts from the pursuit.
Okay, and it's getting close to the half-hour mark, so why don't I read one or two more small PSAs, and then we'll move into Day in History. How about that?
Good.
All right. Festival Awards Student Creative Writing Contest is on. The deadline for online submissions by email is Friday, October 23rd. That's a week from today, 2020, by 11:55 p.m. The students in grades 3 through 12 from across the Acadiana area are invited to participate in a writing contest sponsored by the National Writing Project of Acadiana and the Festival Awards. Students can enter their original writing pieces in 3 writing categories, including poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction. Writing should be submitted through a supervising teacher or school facilitator online by sending them to H.M. Creamer, that's HMKREAMER at louisiana.edu. Parent guardian permission must be granted by filling out the student writing contest entry form. The supervising teacher or school facilitator should submit those forms electronically by the submission deadline as well. Awards will be given for first, second, and third place winners. Contest winners will also receive an anthology publication of winning entries. Please feel free to contact Dr. H. Michelle Creamer, Writing Competition Coordinator for Festival Awards Student Creative Writing Contest. And again, H.M. Creamer, that's HMKREAMER at louisiana.edu if you have any questions or concerns. And for those children out there, happy writing.
One more PSA. Healing House is seeking grief support group volunteers. Healing House, Hope for Grieving Children, is looking for volunteers to help grieving children and teens who have experienced the death of a parent, sibling, or special person. Interested volunteers must be at least 21 years of age, available 2 evenings out of each month, and able to attend the scheduled training series. Healing House, Hope for Grieving Children, provides grief support groups for children in an atmosphere where they are allowed to express their grief through interactive play, expressive artwork, and discussion groups with peers experiencing the same trauma. All services provided by Healing House are free of charge and run by trained volunteers. Volunteers serve as support group facilitators for children ages 4 through 17 and are instructed how to listen and respond appropriately to a grieving child. A background or experience in mental health or counseling is not required. The upcoming training session will be held Friday, October 23rd from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and on Saturday, October 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Volunteers are required to attend both days of the training series. The volunteer application can be found online at www.healing-house.org/ways-to-give/volunteer. To learn more about Healing House and the services that they provide, you can call 337-234-0443. You can email Kim at healing-house.org or visit their website at www.healing-house.org.
And let's look at today in history by the Associated Press. Today is Friday, October 16th. It's the 290th day of 2020, and there are potentially 76 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on October 16th, 1968. American athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos sparked controversy at the Mexico City Olympics by giving Black Power salutes during a victory ceremony after they won the gold and bronze medals in the 200-meter race. And just as a side note, Mandy, I remember that. And there's an incredible photograph of that action taking place. If you want to look it up, just go to your browser and put in 1968 Mexico City Olympics, and you'll see that photo. It's really stirring. On this date in 1793, during the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, was beheaded. In 1859, radical abolitionist John Brown led a group of 21 men in a raid on Harper's Ferry in Western Virginia. 10 of Brown's men were killed and 5 escaped. Brown and his 6 followers were captured and all were executed. Also on this date, in 1901, Booker T. Washington died at the White House as the guest of President Theodore Roosevelt, whose invitation to the Black educators sparked controversy. In 1916, Planned Parenthood had its beginnings as Margaret Sanger and her sister Ethel Byrne opened the first birth control clinic in Brooklyn, New York. The clinic ended up being raided by police and Sanger was arrested. Also on this date in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis began as President John F. Kennedy was informed that reconnaissance photographs had revealed the presence of missile bases in Cuba. 1978, the College of Cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church chose Cardinal Karol Wojtyla to be the new pope. He took the name John Paul II. 1991, a deadly shooting rampage took place in Killeen, Texas, as a gunman opened fire at a Luby's cafeteria, killing 23 people before taking his own life. 1995, a vast throng of Black men gathered in Washington, D.C. for the Million Man March, led by Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. In 2002, President George W. Bush signed a congressional resolution authorizing war against Iraq. The White House announced that North Korea had disclosed it had a nuclear weapons program. In 2009, agricultural officials said pigs in Minnesota had tested positive for the H1N1 virus or swine flu, the first such cases in the U.S. 10 years ago, Iran freed an American businessman jailed in Tehran for more than 2 years on suspicion of ties to an allegedly violent opposition group. Reza Taghavi, 71, hasn't been charged with the crime and denied knowingly supporting the organization known as Tondar. 5 years ago, Interior Secretary Sally Jewell announced that the federal government was canceling federal petroleum lease sales in U.S. Arctic waters that had been scheduled for 2016 and 2017. 1 year ago, President Donald Trump declared that the U.S. had no stake in defending Kurdish fighters in Syria who had died by the thousands as Americans' partners against Islamic State extremists. Trump's stance on the Kurds was condemned by Democrats and some Republicans who had been staunch Trump supporters. Today's birthday, actor Angela Lansbury is 95 years old today. Go, Angela. Actor Peter Bowles is 84. Actor-producer Tony Anthony is 83. Sportscaster Tim McCarver is 79. Rock musician C.F. Turner from Bachman Turner Overdrive is 77. Actress or actor Suzanne Summers is 74. Rock singer-musician Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead fame is 73. Producer-director David Zucker is 73. Record company executive Jim Ed Norman is 72 today. Actor Martha Smith is 66. Comedian actor Andy Kinder is 64. Actor-director Tim Robbins, one of my fave actors, is 62. Actor-musician Gary Kemp is 61. Singer-musician Bob Mould is 60 years old today. Rock musician Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is 58. Movie director Kenneth Lonergan is 58, and singer Wendy Wilson Phillips, Brian Wilson's daughter, is 51 years old today.
Right.
How's the zodiac looking there, Mandy?
Well, let's find out. If you are a Libra, a financial change is heading your way. Be careful not to act in haste when patience is required. Keep an open mind, but don't be emotionally impulsive. Scorpio, take care of responsibilities quickly and then move on to more enjoyable pastimes. Discuss your thoughts and feelings with a loved one. Romance is on the rise. Sagittarius, take on a challenge that will spark your enthusiasm. An invitation to attend a reunion may tempt you, but consider your safety, health, and well-being before you accept it. Capricorns, don't make a premature move. Bide your time and pay attention to detail. Do things right the first time. Discuss your plans with those who will be affected by them. Aquarius, take care of unfinished business. Once you know where you stand, you'll find it easier to tie up loose ends and relax. A joint venture may interest you, but do your own thing. Pisces, don't spend money to impress someone. The best way to gain respect and popularity is to offer your services or experience, not your cash. Spend time with a loved one. Aries, step aside if it will help you keep the peace. Now is not the time to start an argument with someone who can influence your prospects. Taurus, jump at the chance to make a change. Head in a direction that excites you. Follow your heart and explore the future with optimism. Gemini, you can't please everyone, so do what's best for you. Keep your intentions to yourself until you have established the best way to proceed. Too much talk will give someone a chance to interfere with your plans. Cancer, when in doubt, sit tight. Be observant, but don't meddle. Keep the peace now, and you will be in a better position to get your way in the end. Enjoy what life has to offer. If you're a Leo, you'll be caught between a rock and a hard place if you let someone drag you into their fight. Quiet support is the best way to handle a difficult situation. And finally, Virgo, keep your money and possessions safe. Don't take a risk or get involved in joint ventures. Make a change that will protect you from loss and encourage you to learn more about how best to handle your finances. The horoscope, of course, is an entertainment feature and not based on scientific fact.
Okay, the funerals today in the Acadiana area. Ronald Batiste Chapel, Louisiana funeral services and crematory at 11 a.m. Harry Delahousse, Sacred Heart of Jesus Catholic Church, 2514 Old Degenerate Road in New Iberia at 11 a.m. Vivian Melanson at Delhome Funeral Home at 12:30 p.m. and Lewis Roth Jr. Fountain Memorial Funeral Home in Lafayette at 11 a.m. Well, on Fridays, Mandy, I like to do some entertainment news, and we have a couple of those stories this morning. The first one is the Festival Acadiana Creole finally gets a chance to shine. Organizers helps reschedule the virtual event by dining and shopping, staff report. First, Festivals Acadiana Creole had to substantially change its format from live to virtual because of the health threat posed by COVID-19. Then Hurricane Delta decided to pay a visit, and the festival, originally scheduled for October 9th through 11th, was pushed back a week. The event, a mainstay in Lafayette since 1974 and at Girard Park since 1976, is finally happening this weekend. Artists can be streamed throughout the weekend from Fest TV or Fest TV, however you want to say it, live on festivalacadian.com and on the Festival Acadiana Creole Facebook on Facebook Live. All food is always a major draw for the in-person festival. Organizers encourage folks to support the festival by visiting the official food vendors, Cafe 20.3, Fezzo's, Langnos, Johnson's Bookery, Boo-Pot's Bakery, Taco Sisters, Pop's Po' Boys, Acadiana Slice, Central Pizza, Dipping Dots, the Cajun Table, and Bon Creole Seafood. They also encourage people to support the festival and local artists by shopping. Official festival merchandise, including pins and posters, can be purchased at Cafe 20.3, Champont's Market, Louisiana Hot Stuff, and Graph X Plus. Merchandise can also be ordered online at stores.inksoft.com/festivals Acadians_2020/shop/home. Meanwhile, more than 60 Louisiana Craft Guild members will feature their unique creations on the Louisiana Crafts Fair website, and in-person shopping for art can be done at Sans Souci Fine Crafts, 219 East Vermilion Street. Downtown Alive will be kicking off the festival programming at 6 p.m. today with the Rusty Meteor and the Zydeco Crush. Now here's the rest of the musical performances. Today, 7:30 p.m., kick off with Lost Body Ramblers at Salle de Danse from Blue Moon Saloon. 8 p.m., Jeffrey Broussard and the Creole Cowboys at Scene Mon Heritage from Warehouse 535. 8:30 p.m., Terry and the Zydeco Bad Boys, the Salle de Danse stage from Blue Moon Saloon. 9:03 p.m., Joel Savoy and Lindsay Young, Scene Antalya from Center for Louisiana Studies. 9:15 p.m. Is capped off tonight at 9:15 p.m. with the Bindley Boys at Sema, Louisiana from the ACA. On Saturday at 4 p.m., we've got Jordan Thibodeau and A Le Rodele, and my French is very terrible. Simon Heritage from Warehouse 535. 4:35, Zachary Richard, San Mon, Louisiana from the ACA. Don't miss that one. Zach is an incredible musician. 4:55 p.m., Goldman Thibodeau, Louisiana Tradition Bearer Award, Scene Atelier from Center for Louisiana Studies. 5 p.m., Timon from KRVS 88.7 FM. 5:25, Horace Tronhon and the Osan Express, always a great show to watch. Salle Dance from Blue Moon Saloon. 5:45 p.m., the Dockery Queens, San Mon Heritage from Warehouse 535. 6:15 p.m., Fufale Trio, Salle Dance from Blue Moon Saloon. 6:40 p.m., the Nathan Williams and the Zydeco Cha-Chas, Scene Mon, Louisiana from the ACA. 7:05 p.m., Bonsoir Catin, Simon Heritage from Warehouse 535. On Sunday, starting at 3 p.m., Chubby Carrion, the Bayou Swamp Band at ACA. 3:30 p.m., Cameron Dupre and the Cajun Troubadours at the ACA. 4 p.m., the Revelers from Blue Moon Saloon. 4:20 p.m., Dirk and Amelia Powell from the Center for Louisiana Studies. 4:35 p.m., Cedric Watchin and Bijou Creole from Warehouse 535. At 5 p.m., Steve Burke and Dulcie Riley from Home. 5:25, Gene Delafosse and French Rockin' Boogie from the ACA. And capping things off, as we have done in past years with Festival of Cayenne Creole, at 5:45 p.m., Wayne Tubes and Zyda Cajun on the Scene Mon, Louisiana stage from the ACA, or Acadian Center for the Arts. Okay.
In other entertainment news, also this weekend, Sunday in the Park with Polly Pry at 2 p.m., the Shaw Center for the Arts Plaza, 100 Lafayette Street. It's free, artsbr.org or facebook.com/polyprymusic. This is an article by John Wirt, contributing writer. If you're looking forward to the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge's second Sunday in the Park fall concert this weekend, you're not alone, and so is Polly Pry. The local but widely traveled country folk pop band hasn't stepped on stage in front of an audience in more than 6 months. I can't wait to see our musician friends and have them sit in with us, said Polly Pry, lead singer and ukulele player Kristen Foster. I can't wait to be with people, guitarist and backup vocalist Anna Byers said. My favorite bandmate is the audience. Following the coronavirus pandemic restrictions that stopped performing arts events, Foster and Byers recently reunited in a duo format for one of the Manship Theater's Manship musical moments. They're returning to full Polly Pry strength for Sunday in the Park, joined by bassist David Henson and drummer Chad Townsend. In addition to the band's return to performing, Polly Pry's second album, Hola Perfecto, is 80% complete. We're tracking down those constantly moving loose ends, Byers said of the album's progress, but it sounds fantastic. It's a way better representation of who we are, Foster said, referring to 2 Warm Minutes, the debut album that was recorded just 2 years into Polly Pry's now 14-year run. In 2008, Polly Price sat down 2 warm minutes in Nashville, Tennessee with Foster's late father in the producer's chair. A member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, Fred Foster produced classic recordings for Roy Orbison, founded Orbison's label, Monument Records, helped launch the careers of Dolly Parton, Tony Joe White, and Chris Christopherson, and co-wrote the Christopherson classic Me and Bobby McGee, made famous by Janis Joplin. Interviews with her father also play prominently in Ken Burns' recent documentary series, Country Music. Musicians for the 2008 sessions in Nashville included the band's late bassist Justin Hilbin and veteran studio musicians Lloyd Green, steel guitar, and Charlie McCoy, harmonica. Foster grew up in Nashville with 2 parents in show business. Her mother, Lisa Foster, was a singer and co-host of Nashville Network series, including Opryland on Stage and Charlie Daniels' Talent Roundup. Despite her musical parentage, Foster didn't play the ukulele and write songs until her second year in LSU's Creative Writing Graduate Program. Later, during a visit to Nashville, Foster asked her father to record his then-fledgling songwriter daughter. He said, "Play 4 songs for me," she remembered. He always said, "Anyone can goof up and write 1 good song. 2 songs, okay. It might be something special. 3, okay, you've got a good 3 songs, but do you have a 4th? If all 4 are solid, then we can make an album." Kristen quickly had way more songs than that, Byers recalled. It wasn't any catch-up there. It's her legacy. And she has such a clever way of twisting her way through a thought. She's infuriatingly clever. Foster's history of writing poetry made her a natural writer of lyrics, and she earned her bachelor's degree in poetry from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and master's degree in nonfiction from LSU. When Foster and Byers met at a party in 2006, Byers instantly recognized her future bandmate's talent. Kristen's song, The Atlantic Ocean, was so haunting, Byers said, "It just stopped me where I was." Foster is the group's primary songwriter, but Byers adds her knowledge of harmony as well as seeds for the songs that Foster grows to fruition. "Anna can harmonize with a squeaking door," Foster said. "She'll take the bridge into a minor key and not just stay on the same 3 chords. It's like when you wish a picture was just a little clearer. She sharpens the edges. Kristen works way harder at songwriting, but I get to have the glory moments," Byers said. "So I wrote the fun first line, but Kristen wrote 4 verses that are genius."
Turning to state news, in Monroe, black man's family views video of in-custody death by Jim Mustang and Melinda Dislot. Mandy, is that Dislot or Dislot? I can never get that last name correct.
Yeah, I would say Dislot, but I'm not sure either. We're really sorry if we said your name incorrectly, Melinda.
Latte is in there, so it could be Dislot. I don't know. Anyways, we'll venture on. This is a story by them and the Associated Press. Family members viewed a long secret body camera video this week of a black man who died in Louisiana State Police custody. Their attorney calling it damning footage that shows troopers choking and beating the man, repeatedly jolting him with stun guns and dragging him face down across the pavement. Ronald Green's mother and sister wailed like they were at a funeral Wednesday after meeting with Governor John Bel Edwards and watching in a half hour the footage of the May 2019 encounter that is now the subject of a federal civil rights investigation, their attorney told the Associated Press. "This family has been lied to the entire time about what happened," said civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, who also viewed the footage. Video was very difficult to watch. It's one of those videos like George Floyd or even Ahmaud Arbery, where it's just so graphic. The video, which police have refused to release publicly, only added to persistent questions about Green's death, such as why state police initially blamed it on a car crash and why they waited more than a year to discipline one of the responding officers. Master Trooper Chris Hollingworth died in a single car crash last month, just hours after learning he had been fired over his role in the incident. The meeting followed AP's disclosure of a 27-second audio clip from Hollingworth's body camera, in which he can be heard telling a colleague, "I beat the ever-loving F word" out of him, and of graphic pictures of Green's body released by his family, showing deep bruises to his face and cuts on his head. Green's family on Wednesday heard that exchange and a string of abusive language the troopers used during the arrest, Merritt said, even though Green made no effort to flee following a high-speed chase. At one point, an officer is seen placing a foot in Green's while another hog-ties him. He said one trooper can be heard calling Green a super son of a bee. Merritt said, while another cautions that we shouldn't tase him anymore. Ronald immediately surrendered at first contact with law enforcement. When the vehicle stopped, he put his hands up and said, "I'm sorry," Merritt said. His dying words were, "I'm sorry." The AP also has obtained a medical report showing even an emergency room doctor doubled the initial police account of Green's death from the moment he arrived at the hospital, bruised and bloodied, with 2 stun gun progs in his bank. The medical report, cited in a federal wrongful death lawsuit but not previously made public, has been held up by Green's family as evidence that troopers were actively engaged in a cover-up. Does not add up, the doctor, the investigative doctor wrote. Police initially told Green's family he had died on impact after crashing into a tree, the doctor wrote. But in an addendum to the report, the investigating doctor wrote that law enforcement ultimately told him Green had been involved in a fight and struggled with them, where he was tased 3 times. 2 taser probes remained in Green's back even after he arrived at Glenwood Regional Medical Center in West Monroe. History seems to be disjointed, the investigating doctor wrote in his report. Different versions are present. Steady drumbeat of revelations have brought national exposure to the case and turned up the pressure on Edwards, a Democrat, to order the release of the full body cam videos from the 6 troopers in the scene. The Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus, usually closely allied with Edwards, has called on the governor to release the footage. While the video may fall within the exception of Louisiana's public records law, it is imperative that in an effort of full transparency and public trust, the video be released immediately, the caucus said in a statement. State and federal prosecutors deemed it inappropriate or appropriate for the family to watch the video, Edwards said Thursday, but they believe it will be detrimental for that video to be made public while it is in fact evidence they are considering. I'm simply not going to sit there and characterize the video for you, the governor told reporters. Green's death, which followed a case named Monroe over an unspecified traffic violation, was ruled accidental and attributed to cardiac arrest, said Renee Smith, the Union Parish coroner, who was not in office when that determination was made. The investigative doctor of medical's report noted that Green, a 49-year-old barber, was said to have been intoxicated and driving in excess of 110 miles per hour before losing control of his vehicle and driving off the road. It added that Green had no chronic health problems. Report's timeline offered differs slightly from the one spelled out in a state police crash report that omits any mention of troopers using force or even taking Green into custody.
Legislature passes budget after controversy. Bill revised after $22 million in pet projects raised questions about priorities, an article by Sam Carlin. After several days of negotiations and a controversy that erupted over pet projects to lawmakers' districts, the Louisiana legislature on Thursday voted to spend tens of millions of dollars to help shore up the state's dwindling unemployment fund and send money to a host of local projects, police departments, and public defenders. House lawmakers of both parties bristled late Wednesday night when legislative leaders sought to pass a budget bill that spent $22 million on a host of earmarks in legislators' districts. Those included $250,000 for the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, $2 million for the Baton Rouge Police Department, and $250,000 for a lighthouse in Madisonville, and prompted questions about whether the legislature was spending money wisely in a pandemic. After Appropriations Committee Chairman Jerome Z. Zarang shelved House Bill 39 on Wednesday, he returned Thursday with a new deal that passed through both chambers, sending the spending plan to the governor's desk. House members were initially skeptical that the budget deal took away $15 million lawmakers wanted to send to public defenders, then funded the host of projects around the state, including parks and drainage initiatives. Public defenders had testified they are in dire need of office space after hurricanes destroyed their buildings in southwest Louisiana. I'm completely baffled, Representative Mary Dubison, a Slidell Republican who served on the Appropriations Committee, said Wednesday night. I don't understand when all these were approved, when we committee members didn't know about it. How did that happen? Representative Richard Nelson, Republican of Mandeville, complained the list of projects appeared to be blank checks with little explanation of where the money is going. More than $2 million was slated to go to the Baton Rouge Police Department for coronavirus response. The city of Baton Rouge has already gotten tens of millions of dollars in federal aid by asking for reimbursement for police expenses. And if we're borrowing money from the federal government that we don't have, maybe the sports complex that's getting $1 million, maybe that shouldn't be as high a priority, said Nelson, who ultimately voted against the bill. Zarang said Thursday the revised plan took out some of the money for parks and focused on infrastructure, drainage, and first responders. The final spending plan gave $3 million back to public defenders and $5 million for tourism. It also changed some of the pet projects. For instance, the Baton Rouge Parks Agency was slated for $250,000, and the Lafayette Parks Agency was to get $500,000 for lighting, but both were removed. The earmarks for the Cajun Dome, Madisonville, Lighthouse, BRPD, and others remained. The money is going to projects that represent infrastructure, drainage, and going to policemen and firemen, Zarang said, adding later that some of the Senate amendments sending money to parks stayed. The final deal also sent another $1 million to LSU Health Sciences Center, Shreveport, for coronavirus testing, and $560,000 for Hurricane Laura relief in southwest Louisiana. HB 39 appeared to soothe the concerns of many House members and passed on an 81-13 vote in the lower chamber and 31-0 in the Senate. Still, Representative Tony Bacala, Republican Prairieville, said he didn't feel comfortable voting on a bill when he didn't know exactly what was in it. Bacala noted the conference committee report, ostensibly aimed at resolving differences between the House and Senate, actually injected millions in new projects into the bill. Give me time to see what I'm voting on, that's all I ask, Bacala said before voting in favor of the measure. The legislature is in a special session called by Republican lawmakers with three primary topics: hurricane relief, shoring up the unemployment trust fund, and giving lawmakers power over Edwards coronavirus restrictions. I'm going to stop that there instead of going through who voted on what there. We're at 9:57 and running close to the end of the program. Bruce, I'm going to let you finish it out. I don't know if you want to take one more article or read something about the tips by voting, but I'm going to let you close out the program this morning. And thanks so much for listening and joining us.
Okay, thank you, Mandy. She's going to go off and do her tech thing. And usually at 9:55, our audio version of the broadcast cuts out on our TV stations, but we can still be heard on our online streaming service at Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Street Radio. You just go to that page in your browser and click on the play button. Or you can go to our YouTube station, which is AOC Community Media. And I do want to talk a little bit about voting, since early voting starts today, tips for voting by mail and early voting information. But first, I want to read a quick story, and then we'll try to get in a sports story if we can, about the Cajuns' unfortunate loss this week. But first, I want to read about over 200,000 mail ballots requested so far in Louisiana by Mark Ballard, Capitol Bureau Editor. The 201,653 mail ballots requested statewide so far for the November 3rd presidential election is more than total the number of votes cast in Baton Rouge in the last presidential election. Or to continue the comparison, absentee mail-in ballots requests this year outnumber the total number of votes that were cast in the 2016 presidential election in Jefferson Parish, the state's second largest pool of voters, 22% more numerous than New Orleans, and twice as many as Lafayette. A lot of election officials and observers fear that voters unfamiliar with the exacting process may make mistakes and their votes won't count. The Democratic Party, League of Women Voters, and other organizations are launching detailed how-to campaigns. There is a video that you can watch by the Secretary of State on YouTube. about voting rights and how to go about either mail-in or early voting tips. So let's just go right to that, shall we? Tips for voting by mail ballot. Read all instructions before voting. I'm going to be doing my mail-in ballot today. If you have internet access, you can watch the Secretary of State's YouTube video, which I just mentioned, at youtube.com. The video shows how to properly complete and return your ballot. Some ballots are printed on the front and back. While marking your ballot, completely fill in the ovals next to your choices. Place all pages of the voted ballot in the ballot envelope, seal it, but do not remove the flap. Complete all information on the ballot envelope's affidavit flap, including the date of election and mother's maiden name. Sign and print your name on the ballot envelope in the presence of a witness. Anyone may serve as your witness, even your dog, hopefully. Your witness must sign and print their name on the ballot envelope. Do not remove the affidavit flap from the ballot envelope. Place the seal of the ballot envelope in the return envelope that is addressed to the registrar of voters. Ballots require first-class postage on the return envelope. The amount varies depending on how many pages the ballot contains. Ballots that are 2 pages long require about 70 cents in postage. Forever stamps are worth 55 cents each. If you prefer, you may hand deliver your voted ballot to any location of the registrar of voters' office or any early voting site during the early voting period. No person except an immediate family member of the voter may hand deliver more than one marked ballot to the registrar of voters. Check that the ballot has been received by the registrar of voters using the Secretary of State's voter portal at voterportal.sos.la.gov. And of all that information, that is extremely important to check to make sure that the registrar of voters has received your ballot. Now, for early voting, the key dates start today. Early voting begins today. No early voting on Sunday, October 18th or Sunday, October 25th. On October 19th, the Secretary of State's office recommends mail-in ballots be requested by this date to ensure they can be sent out and back in time. October 27th, early voting ends. Secretary of State's office recommends sending mail-in ballots back by this date to ensure they're received in time. October 30th, final day to request a mail ballot except for military and overseas voters. And November 3rd is election day. And then with just a few minutes past 10, I just want to read this sports story. Critical fourth quarter stretch proves fatal to Cajuns and loss to Coastal Carolina by Kevin Foote. If you don't already know, the Cajuns lost a squeaker in the last few minutes to Coastal Carolina on Wednesday night. The story is by Kevin Foote. It's a stretch that will likely haunt the number 21 ranked UL Raging Cajuns for quite some time. If not, it will definitely make reviewing the film of Wednesday's 30-27 heartbreaking loss to Coastal Carolina and Cajun Field difficult to watch at times. The Cajuns had just gotten a break in the physical back-and-forth battle, a Sun Belt Conference unbeatens. Perhaps it would create the path of pulling off another hard-fought win for UL to go to 4-0 for the first time since 1988. With the game tied at 27, the Cajuns were forced to punt from their own 28-yard line with 6:51 left to play. Incredibly, the Chanticleers were flagged 5 yards for having 2 players wearing jersey number 6 on the punt play. It was 4th and 5, so Coastal's oversight produced a gift first down. The only problem is UL quickly returned the favor. At 3rd and short from the UL 42, the Cajuns jumped early for a false start to complicate the process. That was all on our senior guard, Ken Markson. It was a communication issue. The center was trying to make a call, and we were trying to run. That all comes into place. We have to come together as one, but that was on us. That didn't end the frustration. The 3rd and 6 call off a screen pass to Elijah Mitchell fell incomplete, but it was also close to being a huge gainer for the Cajuns. Yeah, we were close to a big one there, UL coach Billy Napier said. They brought a cross dog, and the end was the contained rusher up the field. He really created a tough angle for the quarterback there. We were close, We were almost kind of negotiated that arm angle and got it around. man, we had them there in the right call too. Coaches often talk about it being a game of inches and the importance of execution. The third down play was indeed a classic example. I think that's one more we're going to look at the tape tomorrow and say, hey, if we were 6 or 8 inches a little better there, not only do we get the first, but we've got the opportunity for a big play, Napier said. That's where we've got to improve. We've got to improve our execution. That's going to be one of the plays that we're going to look back and say could have made a difference in the game. Rise Burns punt traveled 46 yards to the Coastal 16 with 5:30 left, but those conditions actually played right into the Chanticleer's wheelhouse. Coastal isn't about striking quickly. Chanticleers yearn for long, time-consuming drives to wear down the opposing defense. When they reeled off a 16-play, 75-yard drive that ate up 8:02 of the clock to open up the second half, was actually the third longest drive in the last 2 games. Coastal had drives of 17 and 18 plays and the 52-23 win over Arkansas State. Both teams were 4 for 4 in the red zone. Both ran for over 200 yards. Both threw 24 passes. Both had 4 punts for a 42-yard average. Coastal's option attack, powered by dual-threat freshman quarterback Grayson McCall, was a problem for the UL's defense the entire night. McCall was 17 on 24 passing for 202 yards with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. The disappointing finish to the seesaw battle for the Cajuns overshadowed a nice performance by senior wide receiver Jalen Williams with 4 receptions and 89 yards and a touchdown, as well as a balanced 240-yard rushing attack with contributions from quarterback Levi Lewis with 84 yards, Trey Regaz with 77, Mitchell with 39, and Chris Smith with 36. A lot of credit goes to Coastal Carolina for the level of execution, Napier said, including the interception. We made too many mistakes to win the game. We certainly had our opportunities, but a lot of credit to Coastal. Their players played well, and they coached well. And folks, that about wraps it up. We're 6 minutes past the hour, which we usually try to broadcast between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday. We bring you the local news live, supported by our friends at the Acadiana Advocate. As always, this is Bruce Cohen. Has always been Bruce Cohen. We appreciate you listening in. If you'd like to be part of the newspaper, AOC newspaper reading family, go to aocinc.org, click on the volunteer page, go to the form for the newspaper reader volunteers, and please become part of our family. We would appreciate it. Right now, we're doing it from our home studios until we can get back into the AOC building and into our usual podcast room. But for now, we're doing it from our home studios. We appreciate you listening in. Please be careful out there. Be healthy, be safe, and be smart. Please be smart. Continue to wear your mask. Continue to do all the protocols that COVID has asked us to do for the last 6 or 7 months. And as always, be kind to each other and have a great morning, great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning at 9 a.m.